Right. I'm S.Padma Priya, Head and Assistant Professor, Department of IT, Sri Adi Sinjaragiri Women's College, Cumbum. Today we are going to see about PL and SQL language. The PL and SQL language is the combination of SQL along with the procedural features of programming languages. It was developed by the Oracle Corporation in the early 90s to enhance the capabilities of SQL. That means structured query language. It is one of the three key programming languages embedded in the Oracle database along with SQL and Java. So disadvantage of SQL is it doesn't provide the programmers with a technique of condition checking, looping, and branching. That is the drawback in SQL. And whereas the SQL statements are passed to Oracle engine one at a time, which increases the traffic and decreases the speed. You can process only one query at a time. That is also the drawback of your SQL. And it has no facility of error checking during the manipulation of data. So this is all, these three things are all the disadvantages of SQL. So because of this only we go for PL and SQL. The features of PL and SQL. It is basically a procedural language which provides the functionality of decision making, iteration, and many more features of procedural programming languages. That means it can execute a number of queries in one block using a single command. That is a main advantage and main feature of your PL and SQL. Whereas in SQL, you can process a single query itself. That means DML command or DDL command like that. But here in PL and SQL language, you can execute a number of queries in a single block using a single command. So one can create the PL SQL units such as the procedures, function, packages, triggers, and types, which are stored in the database for reuse by applications. And PL and SQL provides a feature to handle the exception which occurs in PL and SQL block known as exception handling block. If you study about the Java, you can know more about the exceptions, right? So you can handle the exceptions in PL and SQL programming also. Applications written in PL and SQL are portable to computer hardware or operating system where the Oracle is operational. And PL and SQL offers the extensive error checking options. So these are the features of PL and SQL. Next, the difference between SQL and PSQL is, in SQL, I already told you, the SQL is a single query that is used to perform a DML or DDL operations. But whereas in PL and SQL, it's a block of code that is used to return the entire program blocks or procedures or functions, etc. And you can execute in a single command. It is declarative in SQL. It is declarative that defines what needs to be done rather than how things need to be done. But in PL and SQL, it is a procedural that defines how the things needs to be done. Both have the difference. And in SQL, it is executed as a single statement, whereas in PL and SQL, it is executed as a whole block. And in SQL, mainly used to manipulate the data. Here, in PL and SQL, we are used to create an application. Whereas in SQL, you cannot contain the PL and SQL code in it. Whereas in PL and SQL, it is the extension of SQL. So it can contain the SQL inside it. And structure of PL and SQL block. In each and every programming language, we have a syntax and structures, right? Similarly, in PL and SQL block also having a structure. That means it contains four statements, four block. One is declare, begin, exception, and end. It means PL SQL extends SQL by adding constructs found in procedural language, resulting in the structural language that is more powerful than SQL. The basic unit in PL SQL is a block. All programs are made up of blocks, which can be nested within each other. So what are the blocks you have means declare, begin, exception, and end. Whereas in declaration part, we have to declare your variables. In begin section, you have to write the coding for your program. And in exception, if any errors occurs, that this exception block will capture that error and display over there. And finally, the end block. So this is the action of the block is taken by SQL. In declare part, declaration statements will be there. In begin part, the executable statements will be there. An exception, Your exception handling statements will be there. And finally, you have to end with your program as the command using the command end. Okay, in declare section starts with a declare keyword in which variables, constant, records, as a cursor can be declared, which stores the data temporarily. It basically consists a definition of PL and SQL identifiers. This is the part of code is optional. Execution statement starts with a begin and ends with the end keyword. This is a mandatory section. And here the program logic is written to perform any task like loops and conditional statements. It supports all DML command, DDL command, and SQL plus built-in functions as well. Similarly, in exception section, it starts with exception keyword. This section is optional, which contains the statements that are executed when a runtime error occurs. Any exceptions can be handled in this section. So these are the PL and SQL identifiers. There are several PL and SQL identifiers such as variables, constants, procedures, cursors, triggers, and etc. For example, variables, like several other programming languages, the variables in PL and SQL must be declared prior to its use. They should have a valid name and a data type as well. The same identifier rules will be for your PL and SQL identifiers also. The syntax for a declaration of variable is variable name, data type, and your value. So this is the declaration, syntax of your variable declaration. Here I show you the examples like filter underscore not. This is a variable name. Okay, the same. What we said. Used to say now the identifier rules in programming in C or any programming languages, you have a rules for identifiers. The same is applicable for your SQL and PL/SQL variables too. You should not start with a digit. You should not give a space to your variables, those things and all. Okay. So here the example is filter underscore none and brightness underscore 4. Yeah, in your right side of the part, you have a program. It's a simple program how to declare your variable. So first you have to start with a program as a declare keyword. So I start with a declare keyword and variable 1 is considered as an integer. The variable 1 is a variable name. Variable 2 is considered as a read. So variable 2 is a second variable and variable 3 is the third variable which contains a varchar 2. That means string or character. It's up to the size is 20. Begin null and nothing. So we complete this program just for your variable declaration, how you should declare the variables in a declaration part. Okay. So you have to declare like this one. Okay. Already I explained this and all. So we can initialize your variables in PL and SQL block itself. For example, variable name, your constant, data type, and your values. This is the syntax for declaring variable with your values. So sales number comma number of 10 comma 2. That means the sales is a variable name and the number is a data type and 10 comma 2 is the size of it. Okay, similarly, pi constant, double precision, name where varchar to 25, address varchar to 100. So name, address, this and all are variable name and varchar to number, double precision is this and all data type. Okay, and within the bracket you mentioned is the value or size of your variable. How you should declare initialize your variables in PL/SQL means here I show the example. A integer is equal to 10 and B integer is equal to 20. Whereas you should mention your colon mark here. This is the syntax for using initializing your variable. Okay, A is a data type and integer A is a variable name and integer is a data type and 10 is a value for your variable A. Similarly, B is a variable, integer as a data type and 20 is a value for your B variable. Okay, this is how you have to initialize your variables in PL and SQL. Okay, for example, this is the example for your variable. And displaying output. So whenever you want to displaying output, that comes under your executable statements. For displaying output, you have to use the word dbms underscore output dot put underscore line. This is the statement for showing output. For example, in C and C++ and all, we used to write printf see out statements, right? Similarly, in PL and SQL, if you want to print anything in your screen, on your screen, then you should use the command is dbms underscore output dot put underscore line. Okay. So using command single line and multi-line commands and all, if you use a single line command, you should use the symbol as a hyphen. And multi-line command means you have to use a slash star and end with a star slash. Start your code with a slash star and end your statement with star and slash. This is a multi-line command. Okay. So command, you know that it is mainly used to, can be put within the code which has no effect in the code. Okay. This is the PL and SQL command. So here I'm using a single line command hyphen. I am a command, so I will be ignored. Okay. So whenever you use the single line command like this, it won't be executable part. It is not an executable one. Okay. For your understanding purpose only, we are using a command statement, single line command or multi-line command, whatever it may be. And the command statements are used only for your understanding purpose alone. Okay. Here, for example, here you can see that in declare statement, A is a variable and a number is a data type, whereas an ampersand A, that means the address of the A value. So you can taking input from the variable A. That is the command statement. Okay, this is the simple program. That means in declare statement, we declare the variables like A, B, C as an integer and F as a read. And we also initializing the variable A and B, A as 10 and B as 20. In begin statement, whereas declare statement, you can use the only declaration part, whereas in begin statement, it has the executable part. So here we execute the addition program. So C is equal to, whenever you use assignment statement, I mean equal to statement, equal symbol, then you must use the colon mark before that. Okay, that is the syntax for your PL and SQL block. So C colon is equal to A plus B. So 10 plus 20. So after that, after executing this statement, I wrote the output statement, that is dbms underscore output dot put underscore line. Here I am printing the value C. So value of C is, this is the symbol which used for your variable one. So C. So it print C as a 30. Okay. Similarly, F is equal to 70 divided by 3. So whereas again I print the value of F. Finally, end statement exception is a optional one. If you want the exception statements, you can add in your program, or else no problem. You can end with your end statement. So this is the output of your program. So similarly, the variable scope, have the lifetime for your variable, right? Whenever we use the inner variable in an inner block, it cannot be used in an outer block. That is called local variables. So when you declared the variable in an outermost block or package, then it can be called as a global variable and it can be used in anywhere of your program. And this is the scope of your variable in PL and SQL, like your normal programming languages. Similar thing applicable for your PL and SQL also. Whenever the local variable declared in an inner block, it cannot accessible by the outer block, and it is called a local variable. Wherever the variable is declared in the outermost block, it can be used in anywhere of your program. That is called global variable. This is the example for a global variable and local variable. See here, in declare block, I'm using the variable number 1 and number 2 as a number. Okay. After the begin block, I'm displaying the number 1 and number 2. After that, again within the begin block, I'm again using a declare statement. Here, I'm using a number 1 is equal to 195. Sorry. And number 2 is equal to 185. Here, the local variable, whenever I begin and printing the number 1 and number 2, this number 1 and number 2 will execute only within this block only. So it prints only 195 or 185. And then program it. So this is how you have to use the local variable and global variable. Whenever you declare in the global variable here, it can be used in anywhere of your block. Whenever you use your variable within your single block, then it can be used in that block itself. Hope you can understand the things in PL and SQL. Thank you.